In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
For our own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all the laws.
All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
The wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
This big blue marble. It is I, your lovable host, El Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust, and it is not give illegal aliens amnesty or bust, because that would bust us if we did that. Yes, indeed. It is Thursday, August the 27th in the year of our Lord 2015. My goodness, it is Thursday already. The number that you can call here live, while we're on the air live, is 603-835-3224. Again, that number is toll free, 603-835-3224. Look, I'm just excited about this episode, the program tonight. Yeah, I get excited every night. I really do. But I got a lot to talk to you about. And you know what? Like normal, I'm not going to get to it all. I tried, but that's why you've got to visit rodeccles.net in order to get the full scoop. Over the next couple of weeks, the format of the site is not changing, so it's not going to you're not going to go there one day and all of a sudden it's something new and you're thinking in the wrong place. It's going to look exactly the same, but there's going to be some changes made that's going to allow me to give you even more information about the program, as well as what's going on out there that you need to know about. So, you want to keep visiting because we're improving it basically almost on a daily, weekly basis here. That's what we're trying. We're trying to reach internet website perfection, and we strive for that. And we're trying to reach that level. We'll never get there, of course, because there's nothing, no such thing as perfection. But it is already Thursday. It's unbelievable because, when you're having fun with what you're doing, time just flies. And you know what? I know there are a lot of people out there that aren't having a good time with life right now for a number of different reasons. And there's a lot of people that don't like their job or they don't have a job, and they're frustrated by their job search and such. I get it. I understand it. Trust me, I have empathy for you. That's why a lot of times I always try to give people a way to get past that. Because this is the United States of America. This is America, folks. You have opportunity. You just have to understand it. You have to recognize it. And then once you understand and recognize it, you have to actually put in some work and go for it. A lot of people have done that. And, we have this great nation of ours that proves that a lot of people have done just that. They've they understood what opportunity was and is. They recognize the opportunity that came to them, and then they just went ahead and did it and put in some very hard work, and sometimes, in most cases, some long hours, and they made it happen. And that could be, starting their own business. It could be landing that job, that perfect job that they think is perfect for them. And you have to put in the work. You have to put in the work and the effort to get the job or start the business. And then you have to put in the work to maintain it and build it. That's just the way nobody gets anything. I guess there are a few, trust fund babies out there that get things handed to them. But for the most part, for you and I, we don't get things handed to us. We have to go out there and work for it. And that's the great thing about this country, that we're able to freely do that, at least for now. And that's why a lot of people want to come to this country legally and illegally. And it got a lot of stuff to go over with you today. And look, I know all about the shooting of the two news crew. Excuse me. And I don't really want to get into great detail on that because everybody else is talking about it ad nauseum. And quite frankly, some of the things that I've heard from the lamestream media, and by the way, after some of the things I heard this morning, now I got to tell you this. I don't normally listen to or watch Fox News. This morning, I don't know, it was around it was in the 9 o'clock hour, so I don't know what I just turned on Fox News on the radio. I don't know the name of the program I was listening to because I don't often listen to it. But some of the things that they were saying, one about Trump and two about the shooting, I got to tell you, I have to now throw Fox News into the lamestream media trash barrel. I really do. It was disheartening and on occasion disgusting. And I know there are a lot of people out there that like Fox News, and because they're really the only so-called right-leaning news outlet out there amongst all those others that are, quite frankly, left-leaning, and they're not even hiding it. And Fox News is right-leaning, and they don't hide it. But look, I'm not going to consider Fox News to be a conservative broadcast news medium. They're not a constitutional conservative broadcast news medium. And when I really started to understand that, because even though I didn't really watch or listen to Fox an awful lot, it was on a rare occasion that I did, I would often defend them because, after all, they have, programs like Hannity, who happens to be a conservative. I used to watch Megyn Kelly before she got there. She did another program. I have never watched the Kelly File, I don't think. But I watched when she was a part of a team. I watched quite a few episodes of that before she got the Kelly File. And I was rather surprised by her performance at the GOP debate. And I started thinking, well, maybe what some people are saying about Fox News is accurate. And this morning when I heard what they were saying in reference to those two topics, I thought, oh, wow, this is not the Fox News that I once knew. This type of thing, they were kind of trying to pile on Donald Trump. Now, look, I understand why they were piling on Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is, it's pissed off the Fox media empire because he went after Megyn Kelly. I get it. So absolutely they're going to try to retaliate. Understood that. But when they were talking about some of the things that sounded like I was listening to MSNBC about the shooting of the news crew, I had to check my radio dial. Was I listening to MSNBC or NBC radio or something? No, I was listening to Fox. So I decided at that point, I'm just going to have to toss it into that barrel, and really, I don't listen. Like I said, I don't listen to or watch Fox very often, but it really kind of disgusted me earlier today. We do have a call here, so we're going to get to them right away. 802 is the area code. You're on the line with Rod Eccles. How are you?
Yeah, Gilbert from the Green Mountain Republic.
Good evening. How are you?
Outstanding.
What is on your mind this evening? Have you listened to the Fox stuff?
Well, yeah. Listen, I think the first debate has certainly helped some of the cream rise to the top. We've got some outstanding candidates who are definitely, I think, the top of the party at this point, and who have the best chance of knocking off Hillary or Bernie Sanders or even Joe Biden at this point, even if he gets tossed in the race. Especially if the FBI even lets Hillary Clinton at the debates anyway. But I don't know. We got some good news coming up here in Vermont. We got a lot of candidates who are coming up to the Champlain Valley Fair. Jeb Bush, Carla Fiorina. The Donald is about ready to commit to coming up to some of these bigger fairs. So we got some big things going on. So just wanted to give you guys a shout out, and hope everything's going good with you guys down in New Hampshire.
We're holding our own. The candidates are flooding the state on a regular basis, and one of the portions of the campaign, when you mentioned Hillary Clinton, is Bernie Sanders calls Vermont home. He's a great senator from the leftist senator from Vermont. You expecting to see him around? And he's beating Hillary here in New Hampshire by a good margin, by the way.
Yes, you mean the socialist Democrat senator from Vermont, supposedly?
Yes. Absolutely. Now, I have not looked at individual state polls, but obviously you're in Vermont. How do you see, or how is Bernie running versus Hillary in Vermont?
Oh, listen, as far as Vermont goes, I think Bernie will certainly squeak out Vermont. And I mean, let's face it, Vermont is a socialist Democrat supermajority here in the state. So, I mean, for Bernie to even be contending at this point in several of the straw polls, either in New Hampshire or Iowa, I think he's doing outstanding. And, like I said, the latest poll with the number one word or the number two words when asked what you think about Hillary Clinton is liar and untrustworthy. So, I mean, her numbers are heading south rather quickly. This FBI investigation is certainly hurting her, and I don't even know if she's going to be there in the first debates. But even if she is, I don't know. I got a feeling Bernie Sanders could certainly knock her right out of the pool if Joe Biden doesn't get involved either. So, I mean, the president sounds like he's doing some damage control by possibly endorsing Joe Biden into the mix over on the left side. So we'll have to see what happens.
That is one of the things I'll be talking about this evening. Joe Biden jumping in the race, and I got to tell you, I really think that he's going to get in because the numbers for Hillary are ripe for him to jump in.
I agree with you 100% there. Right now, I think the far left are in kind of damage control mode at this point because, I mean, whether it's obstruction of justice or whatever charges the FBI end up coming forward with her wiping her own servers and, deleting, email after there's definite evidence of, top secret material does matter. And, maybe with Hillary Clinton, she has no feeling for it because it's not, none of her family are out in the front lines, the price or coming back disabled from Iraq or, I mean, I don't get the concept where she feels she is above the law. And I don't know. We'll just have to see how it plays out. But anytime the FBI starts a criminal investigation, it usually doesn't work out good for the person who's being investigated. So.
No, that is absolutely true. It really, it's something that is going to dog her, and I don't know why she just didn't get this out of the way before she decided to run. Well, before she started to run. But here's the thing with the Clintons. I don't think they think that they are above the law. I think they believe that they create the law, and therefore this is dealing. She had this attitude early on that dealing with this email server thing, as well as a few other things while she was Secretary of State, were beneath her. What difference does it make at this point? Who cares? It's done. And you should listen to me because I'm the great Hillary Clinton, the wife of former President Bill Clinton. We're awesome, and I'm the Secretary of State, and I'm telling you, what difference does it make? So just get over this already. I think that's the kind of attitude of people. I mean, they're calling Donald. When you mention those words that come to mind, they're calling the Donald arrogant. But I think that's the epitome of arrogance. When you don't think you need to answer to anybody for anything that you do at any time. And that it's sort of, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do because now she's saying, well, some of those top secret rules and confidential rules and that type of thing, they were kind of confusing and stupid anyway. So now she's deciding on what should be confidential and what shouldn't be, and whether or not she was going to follow the rules or make her own rules. That seems to me people who are making their own laws.
You nailed it on the head there, Rod. I mean, anybody who's ever served in the elite branches of any of the U.S. military knows the classifications of top secret, secret, or classified material. Then once you start getting into the halls of the Pentagon, you've got, on a need-to-know basis, president's eyes only, that kind of thing. I mean, for her to come across, like you said, as the Secretary of State and just basically deciding what she considers as classified material that can be wiped off her server, what she's going to send into the FBI. I mean, it's just, like you said, it really, that word arrogance is definitely hitting a nerve as well, just because, I don't know, she may be a lawyer, but she's been out of practicing law for so long that I don't know. I just don't get it. It really it confounds me sometimes, but we'll have to see how the FBI, deals with it and how it plays out. She doesn't believe. I think it's catching up to her now, and she didn't believe before that she was she was not one of the little people like you and I, because look, General Petraeus got in a lot of trouble for doing something far less serious than what is being accused of Hillary and her camp. And maybe as I have speculated, one of the reasons why she took so long to turn over this server, quote unquote, was because they were busy trying to figure out how to completely wipe the server without having somebody be able to recover the data that they did not want them to recover. And that is possible, but you really got to know what you're doing, and you have to use the right type of software to do that. Now, whether or not she actually has the right software and that the people that were doing this for her were smart enough to actually get that done, where the FBI is not going to be able to recover most of the data that they want to recover, is yet to be seen, because we keep seeing all this stuff being filtered out, daily and weekly about this server and other things like Huma, for instance. I think she is being I think she's being put up there on a stake as the fall person. She's going to be the sacrificial lamb on this. Listeners, don't doubt me on this. They are going to point to Huma on this, and she's already being pretty much targeted now. Whether or not Hillary gets to fully skate by on this is doubtful, but Huma is definitely in some serious trouble right now. I agree with you there, Rod, and you're right. I mean, Hillary Clinton definitely, she just tossed her assistant pretty much right under the bus on that move. Which, I mean, let's just say it the way, for what it is. It's typical Clinton maneuvers, deflection of all accountability, try to stall as long as you possibly can. And anybody who's ever seriously worked in the data recovery industry, it's practically impossible to not generate a copy somewhere. I've been doing this for over 25 plus years. Other than taking a hammer to smashing the hard drive or a extremely powerful magnet to, really scrub or erase the digital, let's just say the digital DNA or whatever that's on the hard drive. The woman made a huge mistake by making a backup, giving it to her lawyer. There's plenty of evidence out there. It is just a matter of time, once it gets in front of the right people, that it's probably going to, she's pretty much sunk her own campaign in her own bid to become the first female president of the United States, as far as I'm concerned.
Now, there are people out there, and I do not totally discount this particular conspiracy theory. But as everybody well knows, there's no love lost between the Obamas and the Clintons.
Oh, I know, exactly. And I almost think President Obama is pretty much getting a nice little chance for a little bit of payback for Hillary.
I think he has totally orchestrated this. Once it came to light that she had this other server, I think he was wringing his hands, thinking about a way to silently, behind the scenes, destroy Hillary and the Clinton regime. And now that we have, that he's given overtly given the blessing to Biden if he decides to run, I think that is the last knife in Hillary's back on that one, and that he's got full control over her. And I think right now she knows that, but she's still trying to save face and still trying to run a half-hearted campaign. She's not running a real campaign. Right now, she's doing two things, trying to save face and trying to save her life, because I think she owes too many people, too many favors still from all those donations that her and Bill got for that Clinton Foundation. So I don't think, unless somebody absolutely says you can't run anymore, that she's going to bow out. But I think she's trying to figure out a way to save face in order to get out, because she sees the writing on the wall. I really think that she does. She's not she's not stupid. I mean, she may be crazy and she may be arrogant and she may be a liar, but I don't, her and Bill are not stupid people.
You're correct. You nailed it on the head there. And listen, let's just really take a close look at this. You got all of their legacies right now intertwined with this whole Iran deal. If they, his whole announcement that he made the world safer by bringing the Iranians back to the table, and now he's going to lift the sanctions and send $150 billion to the number one terrorist state in the Middle East that does have blood on their hands when it comes to some of the men and women who have served in Iraq. I mean, those were Iranian deaths that were caused by Iranian-trained type tactics. I mean, the evidence is out there. And President Obama's legacy, I mean, Obamacare or Obama, Hillary Gruber care, whatever you want to call it, that really is, mucked up a lot of things. He's trying to, end his presidency on some kind of an upbeat note. They got shellacked in the midterm red wave. And, I hope that we stop the three-peat for the socialist democratic side, because this country is heading in the wrong direction.
And Biden would be a third, an Obama third term. Hey, when are you gonna have me up there in Vermont?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit on that.
When are you gonna have me up there in Vermont?
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on up here. Shap Smith has basically announced that he's going to run for Governor Shumlin's seat. He's another socialist Democrat, the top three between Governor Shumlin, Shap Smith, and John Campbell on the Democratic side. But on the Republican side, we have some very viable candidates that just haven't quite announced yet. We're lining a bunch of other candidates for the other seats coming up in the Vermont House and the Vermont Senate. I think we're going to certainly continue with the progress that was made from the Scott Millen campaign.
That's great.
That almost knocked off.
I'm coming up against a
Governor
hard break here, and so hopefully I'll get to Vermont with you pretty soon.
Yeah, I've got some invites setting up for you once we get the big folks up here. I'm hoping that you can come up to attend some of the.
Will do. Thanks for the call.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. Woo! There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
Rod Eccles.
603-835-3224. You know, the Clintons, they're finding themselves in some, well, let's just say deep caca at the moment. And, Bill expressed his anger about all this attention being given to Biden. Hey, look, this notion that Biden is doing so well and he hasn't even completely jumped in the race yet is very troubling and worrisome for the Clintons. Because I can tell you, when Obama won his second term and Hillary decided that she was going to bow out as Secretary of State, they were making plans for Hillary's run, and they could just taste being back in that White House. And now I think they realize that that's not going to be possible, and that they're trying to come to terms with that, and that makes them angry. And that makes Hillary say all kinds of outlandish things, such as, the GOP are just like the terrorists out there, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But first, I wanted to really touch on the subject of opportunity and industries that disrupt what we're currently used to. And how often when there is a business disruption or a paradigm shift, if you will, that there are some people who are not willing to or who try to resist this change. See, there's one thing you have to understand, is that you can resist certain changes and you can stop certain changes, but when something becomes very apparent and very clear that it's better than the new way is better than the old way, then there's a paradigm shift. And it's not a paradigm shift in the business world as a sense, but it's a paradigm shift in the consumer world. And everything in this country, business-wise, is consumer-driven. And if the consumers want it, well, that's going to be the model that every business who's in that particular line of business is going to have to follow. So if you have a new company that comes up and decides that they're going to do something different, and people like that different thing, and there's a paradigm shift, well, those people who do not stay up with those changes are going to get left behind. But unfortunately, instead of taking their lumps and changing their business model, what happens a lot of times, and this is not anything new. This has always happened. I mean, you can go back to the Industrial Revolution with the big guys. J.P. Morgan and those big industrialists. When things started to change on them, they didn't want to change. And even all their money and all their power during that time could not stop the paradigm shift within each one of their industries. And some of them reluctantly, and they went kicking and screaming, but they made the changes in order to stay relevant. And some of them didn't. And they ended up either going bankrupt, out of business, or selling off their business and getting out of it. Now, this is something that's happening today, and it isn't often that we see right before our own eyes in a short period of time a major paradigm shift. We're seeing one now. And the company that is leading that paradigm shift and is disrupting the status quo everywhere they go and open up shop is Uber. Now, you have some people who think that they can stop Uber with legislation. That isn't happening. Why? Because the consumer loves Uber, and it's direct competitors. I think there's Lyft is probably Uber's closest competitors, and then there's a bunch of other ones. In fact, today I just heard that there's a and they do all this with just everyday people and an app. And there is what I heard today is there's somebody here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, designed and came up with a new app. But this app is designed and geared towards taxi drivers. Now, evidently he thinks there's a market, and he's probably right. Because who is Uber displacing? Who is Uber hurting? Who is Lyft displacing and hurting? Taxi drivers. And taxi drivers all over the place are now saying, well, look, we've had to pay all this money for these medallions and licenses, taxi licenses and livery licenses, and we've had to pay them to the government and all this kind of stuff. And now we're having a hard time making a living. Now, understand that the reason why a lot of people in major urban centers decide to drive a taxi, because if you do it right, and you can buy up a couple, 3, maybe a dozen or so of these taxi licenses, whatever they might call them in your particular area. It could be a medallion, could be a livery license, it could be a taxi license, whatever it's called. That if you can get, you can have your own. You could piggyback and rent somebody else's, or you can buy your own. And if you do it right and save your money and treat it like a business, and oftentimes some of these small taxi drivers, you think they're small, but in reality what they have is they own, half a dozen of these licenses, and they're driving one cab and they rent out their other 5 or 6 cabs. And, some of these taxi drivers, sure, they may be working long hours, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, but they're making a killing. So much so that now that Uber has gotten into the business, now basically you and I can get into this livery business without having to buy a special license and paying the government a tag fee or any type of license or fee. Now, that's amazing. And it's something that, legislatures in all 50 states are kind of scratch their head and say, well, wait a minute, no, we're going to lose revenue. How are we going to deal with this? But it isn't the legislatures that we have to worry about. It's the taxi drivers. And I got a story here from Reason.com that talks about this particular incident or this particular paradigm shift that's happening to the taxi drivers of New York City. Now, from my understanding, New York City is the only place in the state of New York where it is currently legal to operate an Uber franchise. And it's not per se a real franchise, but just so we can understand for this conversation, all the Uber drivers out there, I'm just going to call them franchisees. They have an Uber franchise. And again, that is not what it really is, but just so we can understand with this, simplify it so it's easier to understand. So we have these Uber franchisees out in New York City that are putting a tremendous hurting. I mean, there's a huge paradigm shift in New York City. Now, in New York City, either you use public transportation, you take a taxi, or you walk, because it's rather expensive to own and operate a vehicle within the confines of the city of New York. I mean, I think I brought you a story last week where, parking spaces in a parking garage that they're thinking about building onto a condo facility that they're going to be building. In the parking space, I think the number is there's going to be 10 of them, but there was going to be something like 40 apartments or something, condos, but there are only going to be 10 parking spots. And that those 10 parking spots were going to go and sell for $1 million a piece, above and beyond the cost of the condo. So $1 million just to park your car. Now, this is not I know a lot of people outside of New York City, they're probably thinking, well, that's crazy. Well, the reality is that parking spots in New York City are valuable real estate. And people have real estate holdings in parking spots. And parking spots regularly go for 6 figures. We're talking $100,000 minimum just to be able to park your car. Because you can't park it on the street in many neighborhoods of New York City, especially in Manhattan. There's no place to park it, and because a lot of that parking spot is business related. And not to mention, do you really want to leave your car out on the street overnight? Even with crime being way down in New York, you still don't want to invite trouble. And if you've got an expensive car like a Beamer or Mercedes or an Audi or something like that, do you want to leave it out on the street while you're sleeping? Well, of course not. You want to put it in some sort of protected environment, whether it be a parking lot that is manned 24 hours or put it inside the parking garage of your building. Well, those spots are actually sold separate from the dwelling that might be built on top of the parking garage. And you have to buy the spot separate from your condo or apartment. And I have seen, and this was, just a few years ago, that, and I'm sure that it's probably worse now, but I saw particular parking spots for a single car going for as much as $300,000. Those were advertised. And I got to tell you, from people that I know down there, they don't stay on the market long. They're gone. They're snapped up. So the only other way that you can get around is public transportation, or you walk, or you take a taxi. And evidently, obviously, when you're trying to get somewhere in a hurry, or if you have to walk more than a few blocks, you're going to take a taxi. So in order to have a taxi in New York City, you have to have what's called a medallion. Now, evidently, the history of medallions are that back in 1936, they were only like $10. Today, they can be worth, medallions before Uber came along, they could have been worth $1 million. In order for you to drive a taxi, you had to have one of these medallions. And some businesses in New York City, they have hundreds of medallions. And there's only so many medallions that were issued in New York. I think the number is below 15,000. So roughly there's, 13 to 15,000 taxis that are licensed to be taxis or medallioned to be taxis in the city of New York, and that's it. So it's not like you can go to City Hall and say, okay, I want to buy a taxi license, a medallion. There aren't any available. So you have to buy them so people own these like they own real property, business property. It's their real business property. And some of these people, businesses, own a few dozen. Some of them own hundreds. And they had a particular value. Now, this story on Reason, it traces one particular guy who bought a medallion for just under $200,000. And that was back in the 80s and 90s. And he was doing fantastic. So much so that he bought an expensive house, bought an expensive car, and went on vacations everywhere. And now, all of a sudden, Uber comes in. Well, Uber is easier, quicker, more convenient than a taxi. In many cases, from what I understand, it's less expensive than taking a taxi. You don't have to worry about giving an Uber driver a tip, although from what I understand in my investigation, Uber does not dissuade you from giving a tip. You can if you want. But taxi drivers are finding themselves, well, geez, all of these riders that used to have to come to us, now consider it basically a monopoly. Because that's what it was, a taxi monopoly. That taxi monopoly is now being broken up. And now everyday people who have a car in New York City or want to drive in New York City can get themselves a franchise, if you will, with Uber. And as soon as Uber accepts them as a franchisee, they can begin driving. They can begin taking fares. And they can start making money. And there have been stories from around the country where Uber is that there are people that make above a full-time income, driving their own vehicle, using Uber or Lyft. And some of these people have quit their full-time jobs because they're making as much or more money, have more flexibility in their schedule, and they're just making, excuse the term, they're making bank. But what these taxi drivers want now, which is kind of alarming, is the taxi drivers in New York City are saying, hey, you guys, meaning, political leaders, you guys let this Uber group come in here and this Lyft group come in here, and now our medallions that were worth $1 million aren't worth $1 million anymore, and the value of these medallions keep going down, down, down. And we're starting to find that some taxi companies are having their taxis parked instead of being driven because nobody wants to drive them, because evidently there are many taxi drivers who don't own medallions who decided to go with Lyft because they make more money off of Lyft and Uber than they did with their taxi company. And so these taxi owners are saying, you know what? We might need a taxpayer bailout. I kid you not. So now we're looking towards the government to bail out taxi companies because they didn't take care of business and transform and follow the paradigm shift. So instead of competing with Uber and Lyft and the other companies that might be like them, their first thing is to try to resist, and when they can't resist, then they're hey, taxpayers are going to have to bail us out now, because hey, we deserve it. We worked hard, we own these, we had to pay the government for these, and now they should bail us out. They should buy these, and this is not the only story. San Francisco had a story not a few months ago where taxi drivers were saying, well, maybe the city should buy back our licenses. Why? Why should the taxpayer bail you out? Either you shift or you die. Business-wise speaking. But we've gotten to this notion that, all of a sudden, no matter who you are, no matter how big your business or what your industry is, now all of a sudden you can't be allowed to fail. So we've gone from too big to fail to not let anybody fail. And this was the dangerous precedent set when we started bailing out companies, private firms with government taxpayer dollars. So now everybody else thinks, well, geez, they did it for them. They did it for them. They did it for this industry. They did it for this company. Why not us now? Everybody starts starts sticking out their hand instead of going along and trying to improve their service, make it better for their consumer, better for their customer, better for their client. They're saying, well, geez, we just did things the old way all the time. We don't want to change and do it the new way. So why don't you bail us out? Give us money. Look, these taxi drivers who don't own medallions have already spotted the trend and decided to go with Uber and Lyft. Why can't these medallion owners do the same thing? Why can't they team up with Uber? They're already in the business. They already know how to do it. They already know how to supposedly deliver first-class service in the livery business. So why don't they hook up with Uber or Lyft? And, because, look, they have the ability to do dual as far as I know. They could take a fare from Uber. Maybe they can, I don't know, maybe there's a law that prevents them from doing it. And if there is, that needs to change. But I would see it this way. If I was a taxi owner that owned a medallion and I owned that taxi and that license, hell, I'd sign up with Uber. And every time I got an Uber fare, that'd be great. But when the times were low on Uber, I'd still be running around in that same taxi taking up street fares. Because an Uber driver and a Lyft driver, they can't take up a street fare. They have to get their clients through Uber or through Lyft. They can't be driving down the street and then see somebody hailing a cab and then pull over and pick them up. They can't do that. It's illegal. And Uber and Lyft make it very clear that if you do that and they find out, you're done. No ifs, ands, or buts, no appeal process. You're just done. Because they tell you, one, it's against companies' policy, and two, it's illegal in every state that they operate. So you can't do it. But a taxi driver with a taxi license or a livery license, they can do that. But I don't see any of these guys saying, hey, why don't we try doing that too? Now, I don't know if Uber or Lyft will let them do that. I don't run those companies, so I don't know. But I don't see anybody asking or trying. What I see them asking and trying to do is get taxpayer dollars. Yours and my money. Because they can't keep up. They don't want to keep up with the paradigm shift. And that's all because we got into this notion that, if we get into too much trouble or big trouble, the government will bail us out. And that there again, we get back to the socialist notion that everybody else's money belongs to everybody. And that's not the case. Now, here is the case that, sure, the owners of Uber are making a ton of money. But you have to understand that they're only making money because there are a bunch of thousands of individuals out there across this country that have decided to go the Uber route. And in order to become a Uber or a Lyft driver, you got to go through a certain process. There's a criminal background check. You got to have a legally registered and inspected vehicle if your state requires inspections. And you got to have the proper insurance. So you just don't get to just go over and say, hey, I want to drive and sign up. No, they check you out first. They do their due diligence. And then they allow you to drive for them. Then they give you the franchise license. And right now, as far as I know, there is no fee to join any of these Uber-like types of companies. That may change. But right now, I don't think there's any. So, if you have a vehicle, and there are, minimums on the vehicle, I understand. You got to have a 4-door car. It can't be an old jalopy. It has to be, I think there are age minimums, on the vehicle. So, look, if you have a newer or, a late model vehicle, and it's a 4-door, and you have a good driving record and no bad criminal history, and definitely no violent criminal history, and you have the proper documentation and insurance, why not try Uber? Especially if you can't find a job, or if you're in a low-paying job, why not give it a try? See if it's operating in your city or town. See if it's legal, and try it. Apply for it. Go along with the shift. It's that simple. Who knows? Maybe you'll be one of those Uber or Lyft drivers that figures out how you can multiply by putting multiple drivers with multiple cars on the road. As far as I know, that's, they allow that. As long as everything else is fine and acceptable, you can own more than one car and put it on the road. And as long as that driver is a legal driver, you can have more than one driver on the road. So why don't these medallion taxis? Because they figured, well, we spent all this money on these medallions, and some of this medallion money goes to the government, and they're not protecting us. So now the government should owe us, but the government is the people, and if we're not doing well, they should bail us out or buy us out, basically, so we can go do something else. Look, it's pretty simple. This is going to happen more and more, folks, and you're going to start seeing more and more industries who do not keep up with the paradigm shift start sticking their hands out and demanding that the government pay. And all we have to say is, as taxpayers, is say, hell no, we're not paying anymore. Change or die.
The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Hey folks, Slickery Trigger here. I'd like to take a minute to tell you about Rebel Road Tactical. As a defensive pistol instructor, I've had the opportunity to observe many different holster designs and configurations. And one thing is clear. Many of my students won't carry a pistol. Or worse, they'll carry one without a holster at all. Holster designers aren't making holsters for normal people. It seems that most holsters are either an expensive piece of gear designed for Rambo or a piece that doesn't fit or function the way real people need it to fit and function. So, like any good Texan, I decided to learn to form kydex and design one myself, one that would fit the needs of average people. The result is the Rebel Road Tactical CRT Modular. The CRT stands for Carry, Range, and Training. Its thin and lightweight curved design minimizes printing and is adjustable to fit just right for superior comfort and function. Check us out after the show at rebelroadconcealed.blogspot.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Alright folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
The wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
taxis in major cities. I've been in New York and seen the taxi drivers. I've, even in Boston and in other major cities like San Francisco, a lot of immigrants, legal immigrants, drive taxis. And that's how they get their start in this country. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I actually did some investigating on this stuff and looking at some of the income that some of these people are deriving from this. I was thinking about maybe doing it myself. Seriously. Because you want to talk about a job where it gives you the ultimate in flexibility. You decide when you're on the road. You decide when you're out there earning. You don't have to, there's no 7 to 3:30 or 9 to 5 clock to punch. You're out there whenever you want, whenever, and they let you know when all of these services let you know when there's peak times. Now, we can obviously try to understand when peak times might be. There's the obvious ones like, Friday and Saturday nights or after 10 o'clock when everybody starts getting boozed up. And there was an article, a story, was it last week, a couple of weeks ago, that talked about how in some cities where Uber and Uber-like companies operate, that DWI is down. And in some cases, by half. Because it's very easy to utilize their apps. Now, obviously, if you're going to be a rider, you actually have to register because, most of these services are cashless. Cash is not exchanged. And that helps, protect the driver as well because, if somebody's going to get robbed, they're not going to get much because they don't have any cash. Not like a taxi driver who probably could have a lot of cash on them at any given point. So there's no cash exchange, and all they have to do is open up that little app and press it and say, "Yay!" Somebody's going to come pick me up, and they know exactly who's going to be coming, and they know when. Anyway, welcome back, my fellow Americans and fellow freedom lovers all across the globe. This is your lovable host, El Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. It is Thursday, August the 27th in the year of our Lord 2015, as we get ready to go into the weekend and celebrate all our hard labor during the week. And I hope that you have some hard labor that you can celebrate, whether you work for yourself or somebody else, or a combination of both. That's also freedom in this country, that you're able to do that, and I celebrate that. So welcome to the show. Again, the number to call is 603-835-3224. That's toll free, 603-835-3224. And we're burning up the phone lines tonight. Let's take another call. 806. You're on the Rod Eccles Show. Hello. I guess maybe 806 is not there anymore. Well, too bad. If you call back, would love to hear what you have to say. Sometimes people just don't want to wait. Well, you got to be patient, folks. You got to be patient. It's pretty easy to be patient. Just wait a few seconds. Any case, birthright citizen. I want to get into the. I'm going to hold on. I want to get into this thing with the shooting. Now, we've got nut jobs out there coming out of the woodwork from the left talking about gun control. Look, can I say that every time there is some tragedy that they think is newsworthy like this, they bring out the big guns in order to tout the need for gun control. Now that's the biggest bunch of BS that I could ever, and I would be offended if I were these family members and the survivors of these things, because it is not, look, this guy that shot these two reporters bought this firearm legally. He went through the background check. He had no criminal history that would prevent him from legally owning one. He planned this out. This whole notion that, we're just going to have to, make it, change the rules and do background checks. Well, there's already that kind of stuff in place. Even if there were more stringent background checks, it wouldn't have filtered out this guy. So some of these people are out there talking about, hey, maybe we need to really get into the mental aspects of people. You're going to start forcing people to have a mental evaluation before you allow them to buy a firearm. This is the United States of America. We have a Second Amendment. And frankly, one of the most disgusting things that I have seen on this, and I'm going to go right for the jugular here because this is politically incorrect. I know it is. I don't care. The father of the female reporter has said that his daughter's legacy is going to be tough for gun control. You have got to be out of your freaking mind that you would take this opportunity at your daughter's untimely death, murder, to tout a liberal mantra that is absolutely BS. And I know there are people out there saying, oh, no, Rod, he's a grieving father. No, look, there are people, hey, remember that what this shooter was talking about, well, what finally pushed him over the edge was the church shooting down in the Carolinas. Remember that? All of those people that were affected by that shooting in that church forgave the shooter. Forgave him. He said, forgive him, Lord, for he knows not what he does. We forgive him. And you've got this left-wing media and these left-wing idiot nut jobs out there who cannot understand how they could possibly do that. Oh, no. What we got to do is we got to get tough. We got to bring the hammer down. We got to take the guns from legal, law-abiding citizens. Look, there are more people by far that legally own guns that never commit a gun crime. Never. And yet these liberal nut jobs want to run out at every possible opportunity and take the guns away from legal citizens. What they fail to talk about is all the gun. By the way, violent gun crime in this country has been on the decline. So this BS from Obama saying, oh yeah, more people die by the gun in this country than terrorism. Are you kidding me? I mean, hey, you guys want to label? Are they counting both? Because sometimes they'll go out there and say, well, this act, this particular heinous gun crime, that was a terrorist attack. That was terrorism. And then they'll turn around and say, well, we're going to count that as gun violence. Well, you can't do both. Because terrorists use guns. Terrorists use guns to commit terrorist acts. So if you're in this country and you're a terrorist, well, then you committed a terrorist act. You're not just a violent criminal. And might I add, for crying out loud, why aren't we talking about all of the illegal gun use that contributes to this level of violence? People who get these guns who aren't even bothering to go through the whole process to get one legally, they just go on the street and pick one up. Illegally. And then they use it in the commission of a crime. Oftentimes as serious as murder. And yet we, the public, the law-abiding public, we're just supposed to sit back and say, and cower in our homes and hope that a criminal doesn't either bust in or shoot out our windows in a drive-by. And every time somebody who legally gets a gun or does a heinous crime with a gun as a multiple mass murder, all of a sudden, we're supposed to have gun control again. The topic is Hillary Clinton out there, gun control. Gun control, gun control, gun. And you even have some stupid Republicans out there touting, well, we need gun control. I'm so glad that Donald Trump and Chris Christie laid it down pretty perfect when he said, no, we don't need tougher gun control. What we need to do is enforce the laws we already have in the books. We got a ton of them. How about we just start enforcing the ones that are already in the books? This whole point that they think that they can legislate morality, they can, well, immorality, whatever morality they see fit to have. They think they can legislate morality, and they think they can legislate crime away. Well, while they're doing all of that, the criminals are operating outside of the laws. That's why they're criminals. And the rest of us who obey the law or try to find our freedoms taken away. I mean, this is for the American people to even, I don't even care if you don't like guns. The whole notion that you will stand up for this kind of crap is very telling, because let me tell you something. It's not just guns that the left is coming for. There is some sort of vice that you may have, and probably do, because every one of us has a vice of some kind, that they're going to try to come after in order to control your life, because they know what's best for you in your life. And Hillary Clinton is out there, talking, yeah, it's time. It's time. We can't do this anymore. We got to have, gun control. We got to reform our gun control laws. We got to have better, screenings and make sure that these people don't get guns. And Juan Williams tonight on the 5. Yes, I actually caught that clip. Talking about there are too many guns on the street. What? So in order to get you can't lessen the number of guns out there if you're going to increase gun laws. The only way to get the guns off the streets and out of the hands of the legal, law-abiding gun owners is to confiscate them. And folks, make no mistake about it, that is their ultimate goal. Oh, hell, you can't, you're breaking the law, or you might break the law. What was the movie? Minority Report. Remember that movie with Tom Cruise? It was okay. But it was a movie that it kind of is telling the future the way that the left would like it to go. At some point, they're going to try to predict whether or not you're going to commit a crime. And they'll catch you and arrest you before you commit the crime. And so this is what the movie Minority Report was all about, is they had this device that could sense a crime was going to happen and tell you who was going to do it, when they were going to do it, where they were going to do it. And this Minority Report police force, would then go in, arrest you for a crime and put you in trial and put you in jail for a crime you didn't commit, but you were going to commit. You may not even have gotten to the point of thinking of doing it. And trust me, this is what the liberals want to get to. They want that machine. They want to be able to predict, oh, well, you know what? You're going to commit a crime. So we're not going to let you do that. We're going to throw you in jail. You might not even have, be thinking. Now, I fully understand that this guy was planning something like this for a long time in this shooting. Get it. Got it. Good. But the rest of us who are normal, legal, law-abiding citizens, we're going to get entrapped by this stuff. They're going to say, get to a point where you're going to have to go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist before you can purchase a gun. And let me tell you, the first question that's going to come out of their mouth is, why do you want a gun? Why do you want one? And no matter what your answer is going to be, all of them are going to be grounds for denying you your constitutional and God-given right to protect yourself. And depending on, the other questions and how you answer, you might get a visit from your local SWAT team to arrest you for potential crimes. Don't doubt me on this, folks. This is the way we're heading. Because that is the only way you're going to even start to prevent some of this kind of stuff from happening. Plain and simple. And speaking of Hillary Clinton, she's out there, and terrorists, she's comparing the GOP and their war on women is the equivalent of terrorism. This woman has lost her freaking mind. Really, you're going to compare the GOP presidential contenders to terrorists who blow up and kill and behead people? Last I checked, not a single GOP candidate has ever done anything close to that. Well, maybe some of them have gone out hunting and they've killed like a deer or a pheasant, but they haven't come close to killing a human being, and they sure as hell haven't beheaded anybody. And I know for a fact they haven't blown anybody up. By the way, might I also add, since none of the GOP candidates, all 17, 18, 20 of them, how many of them are right now, none of them have been responsible for the murder of a U.S. ambassador. Hillary, care to respond to that?
What difference does it make at this point?
Makes all the difference in the world. Let me see. Body count under GOP contenders. As far as we know, 0. Body count under Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, 4. Now, if I remember correctly, 4 is a bigger number than 2. So this whole country is going to be up in arms, well, rightfully so, over the shooting of 2 reporters, but yet and still try to elect a woman, support a woman who's responsible, just as responsible for the deaths of 4 Americans. Those reporters should still be alive. Those 4 Americans should still be alive. And yet we have Hillary Clinton running around. But she's falling in the polls, Rod. She's falling. She should not have even been able to enter the race. She shouldn't even be a contender. It should not have even been a thought. She should have been in such a position where she thought to herself, hey, Bill, there's no way I can get into this. I just have too much baggage. No, I got too much. She shouldn't have been allowed. She's not qualified. And frankly, Hillary's less qualified to be president of these United States than the person who is already occupying that position in office. Rod, you can't say that. I just did. I'm not sorry about it. I'm not taking it back. I'm pulling a Trump. Ain't no way you're going to get me to walk it back. And I'm not going to walk it back simply because, why? Because it's the truth. Plain and simple. I know there are some lefties out there that are probably pulling their hair out and throwing things, and they hate me right now. Well, look, don't hate me. You don't hate me. You hate the truth. The truth is hurting you right now. And for anybody who might be offended, the truth is hurting you too. Because that's the God's honest truth. There is no way that she should not have a microphone in her hand. You're really going to say and give an attribute to the GOP candidates. Why? Because I'll tell you why. Because they all believe that in some form or another that either Planned Parenthood shouldn't be allowed to do what it's doing, or it should be severely limited. They shouldn't be getting government money, or it should be severely limited, and they should be monitored. What was Jeb Bush's position? I forget what his position was. But look, these GOPers, and Donald Trump was out there, and he had a great answer. He's like, yeah, I love women. Look, Anybody out there who thinks that Donald Trump doesn't love women is off their rocker. But Donald Trump, I love women. And he says, my plan, I would take care of women. I would take care of women much better than even Hillary Clinton. And quite frankly, Hillary cannot be out there talking about the GOP not respecting a woman's right to health and life and liberty when she's taking money from governments and groups of people who oppress women overtly. We know she's taking money from the Saudis. Well, a woman can't even drive or walk down the street by herself in Saudi Arabia. They can't vote. And yet she's running for president. Do you think that a woman could run for president in Saudi Arabia? No. A woman even suggests such a thing, she'd be taken out and flogged and beaten and stoned to death. There are no women's rights over there. But yet, she wants to equate the entire GOP contender field as being no better than terrorist. Well, let me tell you something about the war on women. Abortion kills both babies, both boys and girls. And considering the birth rate for girls tends to be higher most of the time, one could honestly say that more female babies were aborted than male babies. So, who's really got the war on women? The left has a war on women. They have a war on babies. They have a war on liberty. They have a war on law-abiding citizens. Let's call a spade a spade. They have a war on blacks. And I think blacks are starting to finally figure this one out. Which is another thing. The lamestream media, which supports Hillary Clinton, they're caught in a dichotomy here because the shooter is black. And he was a gay black man, so he's got that double minority label. And they're beside themselves. Well, I'm not beside myself. Hillary Clinton is the equivalent of a murderer. Plain and simple.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. Woo! There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
Look, folks, let me be clear. I did not call Hillary Clinton a murderer because in order to be a murderer, you really need to be, in this country, need to be charged with that crime and convicted of it. But she's like a murderer. She's responsible like a murderer. Because she's responsible. One, we're learning it is most likely and very highly probable that the terrorists knew exactly where the ambassador was going to be and what his security detail was going to be because they read her emails that were on her unsecured, non-government private server. And who knows how many other ambassadors and U.S. personnel overseas that the State Department was responsible for also had their positions and lives compromised. So when you do something like that, that basically can be construed as conspiracy. And often people who are charged with conspiracy and convicted, they're just as guilty, if not more guilty, than the actual murderer. Because they put the whole thing into motion for the murder to happen. And if they didn't do what they did to put it into motion, there wouldn't have been a murder. I think that those who are convicted of conspiracy to commit murder should suffer a more severe punishment than those who are actually convicted of murder in those cases. So if you have a trigger man, well, not saying that he should get off easy, but the person who put the whole thing together and got the hitman to do what the hitman did, you should get a much harsher sentence. And yeah, if we're going to use a death penalty, if you're convicted of conspiracy to commit murder, I think you should get the death penalty before the person who actually pulled the trigger. Plain and simple. You know, I am just, look, if she's guilty, then she needs to be punished. If she's not guilty, then that's fine. But the whole notion of what Democrats constantly always say, even when there's no proof of anything, it's the seriousness of the charge that means that we should investigate this. Now, there could be no proof of any wrongdoing, but somebody just makes up an accusation, and it could be a serious accusation, and they just say, well, it's the seriousness of the charge. Well, let me tell you something. These charges that people are making from all walks of life they're making against Hillary Clinton, these are some serious freaking charges. And as we can see, some of them are being investigated. And she has blocked and interfered every step of the way. So you got to wonder. You really got to wonder. Is she really guilty of some or all of these crimes that are being charged? Well, I think we have the investigations, and this woman she seriously needs to be brought up on some charges so that the justice system can really find out what the truth is, and if a crime was committed. And if it was, and if she's put on trial and found guilty, she should suffer the harshest of charges that the courts or laws will allow. She shouldn't get off. And look, if anything, I think that I believe that she's guilty of dereliction of duty in the death of Ambassador Anderson and the three other men in Benghazi. Because we know that they asked for assistance. None came. We know he asked for protection. None came. None was given. Plain and simple. Hey, the other big issue right now is this whole idea and notion of birthright citizenship or anchor babiness. Anchor babyism, I should say. We've got this anchor babyism that is going on in this country, and it's just wrong. Because there is no such thing as an anchor baby in the Constitution. Now, let me. I know. Look, even there's a few of the GOP candidates that say, well, yeah, if you're born in this country, you're a citizen. No. That is not what the 14th Amendment says. And of course, the person who actually wrote the 14th Amendment back and got it passed back in 1866, Senator Jacob Howard. He wrote a letter about this, about what it meant and what the 14th Amendment means, what he meant by it, what it was proclaimed to mean, what it was supposed to mean, and how he campaigned and others campaigned for it because of the meaning that the 14th Amendment had. Now, this is actually part of what he wrote about that. He says, every person born within the limits of the United States and subject to their jurisdiction is by virtue of natural law and national law a citizen of the United States. This will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, etc., etc. So the 14th Amendment, look, because otherwise, ambassadors who, foreign dignitaries and their staff, if they have kids here, they'd be citizens of the United States, but they're not. And might I add, those foreign dignitaries and their staffs are here legally. So this whole notion that even if you're legal, you could be, flying around the world and you just land in the United States because you're on vacation and you're 9 months pregnant while you're on vacation and whoop, here comes the kid. It is not the intent of the 14th Amendment to now say, oh, your child is now an American citizen. So go back home and your kid gets all the rights and benefits of an American citizen. That's not what the 14th Amendment says. That is not what Senator Jacob Howard meant, and he said it. He wrote it down, actually. There is no question. These anchor babies are not American citizens. For two reasons. One, because they were given birth by foreigners who are not residents here. And two, they broke our national law to get into the country. They cannot profit from breaking a law. They cannot profit from criminal activity. So actually, all of those dreamers, all of those anchor babies really are not, by the law, the Constitution, are not citizens. And they all could be shipped back home to their parents' home country. Doesn't matter how old they are. They're not citizens. So this whole notion that we've got anchor babies is a false notion, and just because you want it to be so, and you want it to be the law, does not make it so, does not make it the law. It's not the law. The law is pretty damn clear, and the person or people who wrote the laws are also pretty damn clear about it. And if there is any confusion about the law, especially in this case, well, the person who wrote it tells us exactly what the law means and says and what his intent was. Look, you lefties, you do not have, this is a three-legged stool without two legs. I know that the regular term, the regular pun is it's a three-legged stool with one leg missing. No, this is a three-legged stool with two legs missing. There's no possible way you can stand or sit. None. You have no argument. So I want somebody to start jumping on these people who are for anchor babies, to shove the 14th Amendment and the author, Senator Jacob Howard's letters, down their throats. Beat them over the head. We call it, Bible bashers, beat somebody over the head with the Bible. How about we start beating the lefties over the head with the Constitution? Maybe some of it will start to sink in by osmosis. There's nothing more that incenses me more than you have people out there trying to rewrite the entire meaning of our Constitution when we have the Constitution that says what it says and means what it means, and we also have direct letters written directly by the people who wrote all of that stuff back then, telling us exactly what they meant. In no uncertain terms. There is no ambiguity in what they thought. Well, we're not really sure what they meant by. Oh, BS! Because they told us exactly what they meant. So we know exactly what the intent. Well, it's the intent of the law that really counts. Well, we know what the intent is now, don't we? The intent was very clear in that it did not allow foreigners who were not legally residing here to give birth to a citizen. And let's face it, if you're part of the embassy staff or you're a dignitary, you're not residing in the United States. Technically, you're not. So, I mean, that would be like a Canadian deciding to come across the border because, their healthcare system sucks and they want to come across the border to deliver their baby because, it's better healthcare. That child is not an American citizen. That child is strictly and only 100% Canadian citizen. There's no dual citizenship. And you know what? Looking into this a little bit further, a lot of the leftists will start talking about, John McCain was born overseas and Ted Cruz was born overseas. But here's the problem with that. See, in most countries of the world, just because you're there doesn't mean that your baby, because you gave birth there, means that they're a citizen of that country. It does not. They don't allow it. And I get all of these lefties talking about, we want to send these illegals back. Well, Jorge Ramos, you can't send 11 million people back. You can't do that. Well, yes, we can. But why is it that we, the United States, can't enforce our borders and our laws and send people back? But there's a country who's a lot tougher than we are. That country's called Australia. Oh, man, if they catch you on a boat, even if you're within the coastal waters, they turn that boat around. You don't get to make land. There is no wet foot, dry foot in Australia. You could have 2 dry feet in Australia on the beach if you swim to shore. And if they're there to catch you, you're going back home. There's no asylum. Australia is far tougher on illegal immigration than we are. But, hey, we're the evil country that wants to send people back. And the people who try to enter Australia illegally go through far more pain and suffering and toil and trouble than people walking across the Mexican-U.S. border. Because the only way to get to Australia is by boat. Or you swim. I mean, look, we've already set the left set the precedent. People forget about this. This whole notion that Donald Trump wants to send people back. Look, the left already set that precedent. I don't know how many times I have to bring this example up, and he's not the only example, but he's the major example that everybody knows and everybody remembers. We're talking about little alien Gonzalez. Now, Obama's now importing all these kids from South and Central America. What was the kids? We got to protect them. Well, Alien's mom tried to get here. She died trying to get here. He survived. And what did the Clinton administration do? The Clinton administration sent the kid back home to Cuba. With great fanfare, I might add. The precedent was set. And yet, the Republicans are supposed to be the evil, mean ones on this? Hey, Jorge, why don't you go talk to Hillary Clinton about this? She already did something that you don't like. They already did it. And not only did they send this kid back, but they sent federal agents with guns to get him. Think about that for a second. They sent a bunch of federal agents with guns. Powerful guns, not just handguns, guns. To snatch this kid from his relatives who were here legally, to send him back to Cuba. So look, all of these kids who are here illegally, the precedent has already been set to send them all back from whence they came. And we should do exactly that. Because that is what, look, Bill Clinton said the law, this is the law. We got to send them back. The law on immigration hasn't changed. Since Bill Clinton's time in office, it hasn't changed. It's still the same. So now we got to send all these kids back. And if we got to send kids back who broke our laws, then obviously, because kids oftentimes, they don't know. They're oftentimes forced to do something because they're just kids. They don't have a will of their own yet. They're not 18 or 21, so they have to follow their parents' orders, and they send them. So if we have to send the kids back, well, there's no way in hell we can keep the adults. Because they know what they did was illegal, which is why they came over in the dark of night or by some other means. See, that's the whole silly notion about some of this stuff. Think about this for a second, folks. Illegal alien adults. They knew what they were doing was illegal. That is why they came and crossed the way they did. That is why they remain in hiding as best they can. Because they know what they did was illegal. They broke the law. They know it. They know if they get caught that they're going to get sent back. Well, they're supposed to be sent back. They used to be sent back. They know this. You know, a child may not know, probably doesn't know, but these adults, they know. They know what they did was wrong. So it isn't even about, well, they didn't know, there's ignorance of our laws. No, they know. That's why they should be sent packing. And Donald is much nicer than I would be. I would say, look, you know what? You get caught here illegally. You know, we want people who are going to obey our laws in our country. Now, we're all about, law and order, right? And we want people to obey the law. And, we want to take away citizens' certain rights so in order to try to keep the law. We don't want people shooting people with guns anymore. We're going to take away people's rights to legally own a gun. So, we're all about law and order. That's what we keep shouting. Both sides of the political aisle keep shouting about law and order. We need to maintain law and order. We're a nation of laws. We're a nation of laws. Well, we have some 11 million criminals, and if I were president, I catch them, I send them back, I bar them from ever entering the United States ever again for any reason. You broke our law. What's more, you knowingly broke our law. You start making examples of these 11 million, and I guarantee you that more people who are thinking about crossing illegally are going to think twice and not do it. They're going to try to get here legally. Because we can vet all of these illegals out. We can vet them out 100%. No questions asked. We have the mechanisms already in place. We have the technology already in place. We just have to have somebody in government who is willing and has the will to do that. We don't need special equipment to go ferret these people out. We know we can find them. We can catch them. We can deport them. It's not really that difficult with the systems we already have in place and the technology we already have. Oh, it's just so hard. We can't send 11 million people back. We could do it within a year. I'm telling you, we could do it within a year. They don't get to have... I wouldn't give them the opportunity to have... Well, let's have an INS meeting and hearing. No. There is no hearing. If you're here for political asylum, what you should be doing as soon as you cross that border is contacting the government and saying you want asylum. Since you didn't do that, I'm going to assume, most likely, there's no need for asylum. Well, I will be killed if I go back. You should have contacted us and said you wanted asylum as soon as you got here. Now you go back. And you will never have the opportunity to set foot legally on the United States soil again. Ever. For as long as you shall live. Is that harsh? Hell yeah, it is harsh. But if we're ever going to get control of our immigration, illegal and legal, it is what needs to be done. Because the citizens of this country are supposed to be the rudders of the boat of their destiny. Not every other nation on the planet. The citizens of the United States of America, we are the ones who are supposed to decide and determine our destiny. Not everybody else. Plain and simple. I don't feel sorry about it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Absolutely not. Well, folks, unfortunately, that sound means that I am out of time for today. Fastest 2 hours of Internet Talk Radio by far. I'm Rod Eccles. Thanks for joining me. We'll be back here tomorrow. Till then, I'm out.
The leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Hey folks, Slickery Trigger here. I'd like to take a minute to tell you about Rebel Road Tactical. As a defensive pistol instructor, I've had the opportunity to observe many different holster designs and configurations. And one thing is clear. Many of my students won't carry a pistol. Or worse, they'll carry one without a holster at all. Holster designers aren't making holsters for normal people. It seems that most holsters are either an expensive piece of gear designed for Rambo or a piece that doesn't fit or function the way real people need it to fit and function. So, like any good Texan, I decided to learn to form kydex and design one myself, one that would fit the needs of average people. The result is the Rebel Road Tactical CRT Modular. The CRT stands for Carry, Range, and Training. Its thin and lightweight curved design minimizes printing and is adjustable to fit just right for superior comfort and function. Check us out after the show at rebelroadconcealed.blogspot.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.